Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where tonight's going to be a very interesting night. It has been months since I've done a podcast, so I'm excited to get back on the mic. It's always a fun time to get back on a mic. Tonight's podcast is going to be very interesting in the fact that this is a gentleman I found on TikTok. It has a very interesting message to give to all of the listeners who are willing to listen today. Something that I found fascinating about just how to better yourself and how to be the best version of yourself. And I think we all strive to do that, especially here in the States, man, in Western society. It's extremely tough to do that. If you've listened to this podcast, I think you know that I'm very keen on trying to achieve that, but we're all lazy here in America. So it's extremely hard to do, but those are just excuses. So there's no better person to bring on than this gentleman. You can find him on TikTok. His name is TrueImmortal777. And then I'll put a link down in the description below and where you can find him, man. How you doing? Thanks for joining Talk Junkies, brother.
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Hello.
Yeah, and you're, do you mind saying where you're from or where you're at right now? Or I think you kind of say that in your TikToks.
When people ask me where I'm from, I actually always, this is what happens even when I meet people in like life. People say, "Where are you from?" And I always say that I'm from a different dimension.
I
I
like
always
that.
say that.
That's awesome.
But this body was born in Portsmouth, England.
Okay. And
So
I'm just guessing that you're probably around my age. I'm 36, but that doesn't even matter, man. But like, kind of just briefly before we get into the podcast, man, if you're willing to, just kind of tell us about your journey and kind of what's led you to where you are now.
yeah, dude, I've just been living life, dude. I have a lot of people say to me stuff that I like that I have a lot of knowledge or where how do you know so much? It's like, well, I just had access to the internet and I was doing a lot of research and I'm really perceptive and just and I'm I'm very lucky in the sense that I've kind of accidentally discovered all of the things and the healing modalities and all of these things that have helped me. And yeah, dude, just from living life. No, it doesn't feel like that I've highly specialized or that I've got wisdom that nobody else can get. It just feels like I have this power of discernment to see what's real and what isn't and see what's true and what isn't. And I know where to go to get the information. And through that, I've used that information to heal my body, to eliminate all disease in my body, and and unlock the secrets of immortality and how to restore that. Because human beings are inherently immortal, but due to the misalignment and all of the way people eat and all of the foods that we've been trained to eat and the way that we've been trained to live and the race belief in the idea of death, because of all of those things, the idea of immortality has become laughable to a lot of people. And when you say it to a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, that's not real." And it's like, well, yes, it is. Human cells do not age and they do not die. The only thing that happens is they degenerate. They basically suffocate due to toxins, due to toxicity. And if you can restore your body to the original design and blueprint of how it was originally designed by God, because God made man in his image, if you can do that through the tools that I'm going to explain in this podcast, then there's no reason that you should ever see disease. There's no reason that you should ever see suffering. And there's no reason that you should ever see death. You can beat death. And that's my life's work. Basically restoring the immortal blueprint and then showing everyone else how to do it.
Okay.
That's what we're doing here.
And I love it, man. And I'm fascinated to learn about that. But I guess it takes a lot. It takes a lot from a human being, and it may be different because I don't know if you've ever been to the United States, how extremely hard it is. And everything's hard in life, you know. If you want something like immortality, it's not going to come easy at all. Like it's
Right.
it's going to be something that takes it's more than a challenge, obviously. But in the United States, there's so many things that is thrown at you that it almost makes it impossible from a young age with the propaganda that you're fed. And again, these are all excuses. At some point, like me on my mental journey and on my journey, sorry, it's been a while since I've done a podcast.
All good.
to want to discover and seek out these things. And when I seek them out is one thing, but actually putting it into place is another. So for instance, I have a cousin, his name's Matthew, and this was years ago, Immortal, he is doing something similar to what you were doing. Like he went on an all fruit, he just only ate fruit, and him and I would have conversations, and he's like, "Hey, Paul, the way that it makes you feel, it's like it's unmatched. Like you got to do this, you got to do a fruit fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've kind of known about what you're doing, but obviously you're going to tell us more to it. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling on right now, but I guess like,
Okay.
were you ever subjected to like the same things in Western society to where it almost is trying to block the immortality from even happening in your life?
Well, so the reason that there's, like I said, there's many reasons why the immortality would be blocked, as you say. It's not blocked. It's more so that it's more so conditioning and training. So what happens is immortality is the inherent nature of the human system. Human cells do not age, they do not wither, and they do not die. The only thing that happens is they suffocate in waste and toxins. So if you want to subdue a race of immortal godlike beings, then what you would do is you would teach them to suffocate themselves with food and toxins. And then you would teach them, because if you teach them to suffocate themselves with food and toxins, then eventually those cells won't be able to be part of the system anymore because they would have been cut off. So then they start dying. And then you can convince them that death is a thing. And then once you convince them all that death is a thing, then you can perpetuate that in the mass consciousness. And then over time, you can convince people that they're not immortal. And then over more time, you could completely eradicate the idea of immortality. And that's basically what's happened. Everybody's been trained. As soon as you get to school, they teach you about the food pyramid. They teach you about the food pyramid. They say you need to eat bread and meat and rice and pasta, and they say you need to eat this many vegetables, and it's like a small amount with your meat and your bread or whatever. And then you need to eat salt, and you need to have water. That's another thing. Water. The water you drink is so important. Like the water you put in your body, water holds memory. So if you're putting H2O in your water, in your body, which is dead water, then you're basically putting dead memory into your body. It's like putting stagnation into your body. So when people are drinking all this water from the tap or from the bottles, or even from whatever source you get it from, that's not what your body wants. That's why some people can drink like 5, 6, 7, 8 liters of water a day, because they're not hydrating themselves. They're putting dead water in their body. So you want to put the living water in your body. This is the knowledge that we need. We need to know about living water. We need to know about cleaning the body, and we need to know about realignment to get those cells clean again so they can live forever.
No, absolutely. So, I think the first route that we should go on is talking about realignment with the Atlas, and I think that's probably extremely important because I find it fascinating, because there's only a few places, if I'm not mistaken, that actually, a handful of places that actually can realign your Atlas. Am I not wrong on that?
There are 140 in the world practicing officially, but there are others who know this same technique and are not on the directory, but I don't know how to find those. I've heard of people going to them and they use the exact same tool and the exact same technique, and they were trained. But officially, there are 140 in the world, so there aren't many. There's a directory. So I want to explain what the Atlas is first. So the Atlas is the topmost vertebrae in the spine, and there are 33 vertebrae. And the top one is the first place the electrical signals get sent from the brain to the rest of the body. It's responsible for all the signaling in your body. And in all humans born in the world today, it's misaligned. So that means that all of the signals being sent to the body of anyone who has a misaligned Atlas, which is anybody who hasn't had it professionally realigned, then they're getting the wrong signals to their body. And that's the reason, I believe, humbly, that people have a dominant hand, like a left-handed or a right-handed person. I believe humans are supposed to be ambidextrous. And that's why when you go to kick a football, you will always use the same foot because of the atlas misalignment. Your body has grown with one side being stronger than the other because of the misalignment. And you can get it put back in from an atlas Prophylax professional. They're all independent. I do not work for this company. They all work for themselves. It's just that's the name of the technique, and it's a technique that was developed in Switzerland with a very specific tool. And they put your atlas back in. It takes 5 minutes, and it's done forever. It's the most profound thing you'll ever do for your health. And once you get it put back in, your body will start realigning itself back toward the original blueprint, and that's what the atlas is.
So real quick, I mean, if it's a one-time thing, right? Is there still give and take? Like, do you still have to be on a path? Like let's say someone who's like younger wants to decide that, hey, I'm just going to go get my atlas readjusted. Like, do you have to be ready for something like that on your spiritual journey, or is it just something like you said, like you do it once and it's something that's going to happen?
It's more like if you have the opportunity in front of you, you are ready for it, because that's how spirituality works.
Fair enough.
That's how life works.
Yep.
But it will change your life profoundly, and it is a spiritual process as much as a physical one, for sure. Yes.
So what was your experience whenever you, and was this recent that you have gotten your atlas readjusted, and what was the experience like for you?
I got my atlas put in November 2022. No, October, around the end of 2022. So it's been three and a half years almost since I had my atlas put in. I had the initial adjustment. I felt a bit different because you don't even feel anything. So the way it works is all the muscles that hold that atlas in are like glue, and they hold it in a very particular way. And what this method does is it loosens those muscles. They use a very specific tool that was developed for this specific purpose, and it loosens all those muscles, and then they just pop the atlas back in. It's like a very simple thing, because once the muscles are loose, they can put the atlas back in the place it's supposed to be, and then the muscles harden up again like glue, and then it's in forever. And then from there, your body will start receiving the proper signals. And it takes, in my experience, from my own experience and all the other people that I know who have had their atlas in, it takes around 8 months for the realignment to begin. So once you have the initial treatment, you don't really feel much. You might, and people do. Some people report their lifelong migraines going away instantly. Some people report that their back pain that they've had for 20 years goes away instantly. So that is a thing that can happen. But the real realignment, it takes years, and it's a long process. And it doesn't start for around 8 months after the initial procedure. So that was my experience. After 8 months, it started, basically. And you'll know about it when it starts. It's not subtle. You won't have to be like, oh, is this because I got my atlas in? It's like, it absolutely is because you got your atlas in. This is the reason. Like, absolutely no doubt. You'll have very, very overt, very profound, and very, very powerful realignments take place. And for me, it's still going. It takes a long time. I don't know how long it's going to be to restore that full immortality. I think it could be 20 years, to be honest.
Okay, so
it really is.
I'm just curious. So like when you say like after the 8 month mark, and I'm sure it's not like it's like boom, it's been 8 months. This is exactly when it happens. It's a give or take type of thing, depending on days or weeks or whatever it is. But like I guess just in detail, like what would just be a small example of what you're describing to be profound?
The problem with this is whenever anyone asks me that question, the things I've experienced with this realignment have been so profound that there's no language to convey it in any kind of meaningful way. It's a literal physical clicking and clacking and muscles popping and the fascia releasing and bones moving and having everything untwist. So if you get a slinky, you know, the slinky toy that you like knock down the stairs.
Yep.
If you get a slinky and you know when you get one and you get it all tangled up.
Yep.
How hard is that to untangle?
It's almost impossible.
Wow, that's what it's like. But your body has the blueprint within itself. But it's like untangling a slinky. So eventually you'll be a perfect slinky again. But everybody walking around is basically a tangled up slinky. If you go out in any public place, or just look in the mirror, or look at your friend that you're with, or any family member you have around you, you will see that their neck and their head is like pushed forward. And people will say that's because of the phones or anything like that. And that is a contributing factor, but it's because of the atlas misalignment. Basically, everybody has scoliosis to some extent. Everybody. And actually, what they call scoliosis is just an extreme, it's like to the point where the medical doctors notice it. But everybody has that. And like I said, when you get your atlas put back in, it starts realigning itself. The slinky starts untangling. The body, in its profound wisdom, knows how to do that. You just have to clean it and get out of its way, basically.
So for sure. And so at the very beginning of the podcast, you said something that kind of strikes me to ask my next question is like, you said, like, how people say that, how do you have so much knowledge? And you said that you have access to the internet. So my question for you would be, what would be the purpose, or how did the atlas become misaligned for all of the human population?
Well, that's a question, isn't it? Like, all I can say about that is it's very. So, if a woman gets her atlas put back in, and then has a baby, that baby will be born with an aligned atlas. So, that means that it's genetic, which says to me that somebody has intentionally done this.
Yeah, and that's would be the only explanation, you know. And I know I'm not asking for you to have the answer. That's almost impossible to answer, but it just makes you wonder. It's just very interesting, you know. I mean, I'm very genuinely, like, I would consider doing this. You know, obviously I need to do more research and have more conversations with you, but it just makes me wonder. I always like try and find the root of the problem, you know, and that would just be one of the questions that I would ask, because I would almost be curious. So you're suggesting that there was a point in time on Earth where people were immortal?
Yeah. Like, if you look at all of the old world buildings, the Tartarian buildings, they were clearly built by a much more advanced civilization, but not only much more advanced, but more loving, more tapped in, more spiritual, more psychic. Like, you can clearly see the artistic influence in all of those buildings. I don't know if you ever speak about that on your podcast, about the old world buildings and the global civilization that once was.
Yeah, so I told you earlier I've had Howdy Mikowski on, and we haven't I've been looking to have a conversation with someone about Tartaria and all of that, but he kind of, what Howdy talks about is like in the 1800s, and the world's fairs were basically a reset because of a cataclysm that, you know, that happened probably during those times that you're talking about. Something happened and destroyed that. And the world's fairs were the reset with the baby incubators and all those types of things. So I haven't gotten into to too much of Tartaria, but the aftermath, I guess, I've gotten into quite a bit.
Okay. So if you look at those buildings, all of those old world buildings, they are clearly built by an advanced civilization, clearly built with love, built with glory in mind. And none of them, interestingly, have any bathrooms or toilets. And that's because the immortal people who built those things weren't eating and drinking. Because if you're immortal, you don't need to eat and drink.
So I guess my question would be is, why do we have like intestines or a bladder? You know what I'm saying? Like, in the first place.
Yeah, well, you can eat. It would have been more for cleansing, for enjoyment, and for like sensing the area. So your intestines are like your second brain. So if you're in a certain area and you put some food in your stomach, it's basically like a sensing device. So it would have been more for that kind of thing. And it's the way people eat now is very different to the way that those people would have been eating. It would have been more of a choice and less of a necessity, because there wouldn't have been any toxins in the atmosphere. There would have been very powerful healing frequencies being blasted all over the world. I'm not saying those people didn't ever eat. I'm just saying they wouldn't have needed to have a bathroom in their house, because they would have been so clean and so pure and so perfect that they could eat some fruits and 2 hours later it would come out. Because I've had experiences where I've been ultra clean, where I've eaten a fruit and 2 hours later that fruit appeared in the toilet bowl. So those people would have been very clean. I don't think they would have been sitting around in their buildings eating foods. They would have been out in the orchards where the fruits are growing and in harmony with divine law and nature, eating the fruits and letting the seeds come out of them, because that's sort of that's like part of the life cycle of a fruit. You eat, and then inside the fruit contains a seed. So you eat the seed, and then you have a movement, and it comes out, and then that seed gets to perpetuate itself. So the people that built those buildings would have been living in harmony with divine law. But I really don't believe that they would have been eating the same way we do, like all day, every day, 3 meals a day, causing blockages and all of that stuff. There's no way that they would have been doing that. They would have known. They would have known how food affects the body, and they would have been doing it that way.
No, I completely agree. Granted, I've definitely I've eaten meat my whole life, but that kind of goes into my next question, and it's perfect. Kind of how you describe that. It seems like every animal, right, has what it is that they're specific to eat in this realm, or whatever you want to call it. And there, you hear a lot of people, mainstream stuff like that, talk about, how potentially maybe humans weren't even supposed to be on this planet, and that maybe, like, if you look into like the Anunnaki and stuff like that, that we were put here by other godly like figures to be slaves in gold mines to get, planet X or planet Neighbor, whatever it is that you want to call it. From what I'm gathering from you is that, like, humans are meant to be here. This is our home. And if that is the case, and that is what you believe, like, what is like our diet? Like, what do you think it is that we're meant to eat, right? Because everyone in the animal kingdom has something to eat. Granted, like, I don't necessarily agree with like predators, because they are, killing other animals, and that is the food chain, right? But like, what is our purpose, and what is it that we're supposed to be eating?
First of all, I want to explain that animals eat because we do. What you see in the animal kingdom is a reflection of the human kingdom, because man has been given dominion over all the earth by God, and we were tasked with being the stewards of this Garden of Eden that once was. And anything that you see in the animal kingdom is a pure reflection. This world is a spiritual realm, and it's only conditioning and heavy eating of dense food that masks that and puts a veil on us and makes it appear purely physical and makes us feel separate. So the way it works is that when all of humans are doing something, the animals will do it as well. If humans are vile, there will be vile animals. If humans are loving and perfect and pure, there will be loving and perfect and pure animals living in harmony. No lions chasing down gazelles and eating them. None of that would happen. It's a reflection of what we do. And just wanted to say that before I talk about what food to eat.
No, for sure. I like that. I've never heard that concept that the animal kingdom is the way it is because it's a reflection of man. That's very interesting.
Yes. And with the food, the perfect food that you would want to eat in a perfect world would be a sun-ripened fruit in an orchard that has been divinely, like, a fruit is a manifestation of the divine. A fruit is a manifestation of joy. If you get a really ripe, perfect mango and eat it, you can feel the divinity when you consume that. It makes you feel divine. And that would be the perfect food. But we do not live in that world anymore. And so when I talk about cleaning the body and healing and the perfect diet, there's people eating meat. I've seen people eating nothing but rice, like a rice diet. There's a eggs only diet. There's a fruitarian diet. There's all the different ways that people eat, and it all seems to kind of work for people because of the misalignment. And the body's an amazing thing. It can take nutrients and assimilate. It can take things from anything. Whatever you put in your body, you're having like a consciousness exchange with that thing. So if you put like a fruit in your body, you're going to have a consciousness exchange. You will get something from that fruit. There's an exchange taking place. But if you do that with meats or something, you will take something from that meat. There's an exchange taking place. But it's just there are ideal foods and there are not ideal foods. But the reason that everybody has there's no consensus on what to eat. It's because people don't understand about body cleanliness and things like that. In an ideal body, in an ideal world, you would eat fruit. And when you rediscover the immortality and get the toxins out of the atmosphere, then you won't need to eat so much at all.
Yeah, I've battled with addiction in my life. Obviously, I think everyone has. You could go to the most minimal thing, right? Like, I think eating would be an addiction, right? And I've smoked cigarettes, and I've almost conquered that addiction. I'm not perfect, I'm still, obviously, I'm on my journey, man, and I want to. It's something I did for 20 years, and we're gonna get into loops because I was also fascinated about what you said about loops on how you describe that. But I'm sorry, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But I think addiction is extremely hard to break, and in order to be the best version of yourself, it just almost seems impossible what you're describing for Western civilization, 100%. Like just like based on like our conversation, and it gets dismal out here, immortal because of the way that we live in our lifestyle, I yawn for a day where we all could try and participate in something that you're describing to see what it is that we could build, right? Because every question that I get when I talk about philosophy or like past civilizations is like what you described earlier is like that there was at one point people who were in harmony with what this realm that we live in.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the humans were made in the image of God. Man is the child of God. And so we were given the earth. Here you go. Here's the earth. Have the earth. It's for you, for my children. And there's been so much that's happened since then that it's just like in terms of like invaders and like and like parasites and everything that has come along to sort of be a detriment to that. And it's been so long now since the original. I don't know how long though. It's impossible to say because all the history has been fabricated. So who knows?
Yep.
But it's been so long now that when you talk to most people about how it's supposed to be, it sounds insane.
Yep.
When you say that, oh, you're actually supposed to live as long as you want and never see disease and never suffer and never and live in harmony with all the animals, even the ones you think are scary. And that's really how it's supposed to be.
So what type of mindset, how do you have the mindset that you have, right? And there, I'm sure at one point in your life you struggled with not the same addictions, but some type of addictions of your own. And I'm not saying like drugs or alcohol or anything like that, but how did you overcome that, man? And like, how do you every single day try and be the best version of yourself? What type of road is that like?
Well, I've been there. Let's just put it that way. With addiction, my advice to anyone who has an addiction is that if you can't stop doing it, it's because you haven't seen enough. Because when you've seen enough, you will stop without effort. And addiction might be, this is going to sound crazy, but that addiction might be the thing that saves your life in terms of what it can show you, how it can make you evolve, how it can get you to the point where you have only the desire to be better. And for me, that's how it worked. I got to the point with addiction where I had to do something about it. I had no choice. And then I discovered all of this stuff, the healing modalities. And from there, I've just been on a journey completely in the opposite direction of addiction. And the way to become free from addiction, because many people stop too early, which I'm not saying is bad. If you have an addiction and it's like destroying your life and you manage to stop, that's fantastic. But there's a lot of people who spend their whole life going to AA meetings talking about alcohol. And those people are not free of the addiction. They stop too early. Because if you're truly free of an addiction, you won't even have to, you won't even think about it. It won't even be there in your consciousness. It will be like that chapter is closed. That book is closed. I completed that level. That's done. And for me, that's the way I had to do it. So I went so deep into addiction that like it was at the point where I had no idea how I was going to fix it, or like there was no concept of fixing it basically. And then I discovered you could fix it. And then from that, I reversed all of the damage I did. And that's put me on this path. And because of how perceptive I am, as I've realigned and healed my body, I've just started noticing things. And I've noticed how the body works. I recognize how powerful the body is and what it can put up with based on the life I've lived. And it's very resilient, extremely resilient to the point that most people won't even be able to fathom, I think, like what you can really do with it. Like the amount of I guess the amount of stuff you can put in it that isn't good for it and have it still function, and then be able to reverse it, and then be able to completely reverse it and heal it. That's the most profound thing that anyone could ever do. That will give you back your sovereignty and empower you in a way that you probably didn't realize you could be. It will show you that you are very powerful, and your body is as powerful as you.
Well, it's almost like whoever the creator is or the divine knew that at some point the realignment of your atlas would happen to where it was in a negative regard, so that they had to combat that with giving your body the ability to put it through so much. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case, but that's like that's kind of what I think of whenever you describe it like that. It's just like you have good and evil, right? And evil somehow got the alignment of the atlas to be off a little bit, but then like the counteraction to that would be like the good part. Whoever created the beings gave us this other option, I guess, or I'm not evolution, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I don't think God intended for any of this to happen. Actually,
okay,
I don't believe that. He's very smart, but he can't see the future. He can see all that's happening and then make extremely good predictions. But because we have free will, then that's if you have a child and that child, like, good people have children that do bad things. That's kind of the situation. But it's more complicated than that because there's been like invaders come. So we have like this Garden of Eden that's perfect and man is perfect and we're all having a fantastic time. And then if you know about any kind of esoteric history, there's been a bunch of invasions and stuff. There have been entities from all different locations and dimensions that want to fuck with us, basically. Am I okay to swear? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do it often, but they want to like mess with us. And if you know about any kind of like real history or the esoteric stuff, the hidden history, then you know that that's a thing. So yeah, that's basically what's happened. It's like it was perfect and it was created for us to have, just like a loving father creates a amazing world for his children, and then other entities saw it and were like, well, they just wanted to come and control it. And that's what you're seeing in the world now. All the negative forces, or the bad guys, they're trying to control it. They want to control it. Evil, by its nature, wants power.
No, that definitely makes sense. But sorry, I didn't want to necessarily get into some of that stuff because you have so much to offer when it comes to like helping people like internally trying to fight disease in their body. And there was another thing that you had described of just the things that you had passed when you first started your journey. Did you say it was like calcium that or mucus or one or the other? I want to say that you said it was calcium, but just the things that you
Mucus.
passed. Okay. And it's just
Yeah,
like,
mucus.
okay. So if you could go a little bit into that, sorry.
So anytime you put something in your body that it doesn't want in it, it will generate mucus to defend itself and to help it eliminate that thing. So if you eat, for example, a piece of bread, your body will, to ensure it can eliminate that bread and so it can defend itself against the things in the bread that it doesn't want in there, it will create mucus and it will create the mucus around the bread. And that's the purpose of the mucous membrane in the body, is to protect itself. It's a defense mechanism. And so if you eat nothing but foods that need to be defended against for many, many years, 30, 40, 50 years, which is what everyone has done, then because we've all been taught wrongly about food, then that mucus will dry and harden over the years. Because if you're never putting the right food in, which would be the living water to clean it out, then that mucus is just going to accumulate and you're going to get more and more dehydrated over time. And that's why when you see people who are like 90, 100 years old, they're really wrinkly. They're they're like they've dried up like a raisin because of intense dehydration. And the reason that anyone would ever fail to realize their immortality, aka pass over, is because they suffocated. Like I was saying about cells and suffocation, the body gets to the point, if you don't clean it properly and if you don't know about this, that the cells just can't function anymore. And then when you clean it and you get that gunk out, the cells begin to function again and life and vitality returns to the vessel and you start aging in the opposite direction. If you've seen any of my videos where I talk about that, I've showed pictures of what I looked like 5 years ago compared to how I look now. I'm younger now. I look younger now than I did 5 years ago. And every year I continue to age backwards because I'm not degenerating anymore. I'm regenerating because the body is designed to constantly regenerate infinitely, forever.
So what is your
There's
diet?
a woman.
Sorry.
Well, there was a woman called Henrietta Lacks who gave her some cells to a lab, and it's in America somewhere. You can Google.
You there? A subscription. I don't know why it does that every 45 minutes. It's weird. It's done
Like that. Oh, 45 minutes. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, what was I saying before it cut off? Do you want me to do that? Say that again, like what I was saying?
Yes.
I think it's quite important.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
About the
so
chick.
I was saying about cleaning your body and how the only reason that anyone would ever see any kind of sickness, disease, or death or anything like that is because the cells can't breathe. So if you clean your cells and get the gunk off them, then your cells will begin to breathe again. And I was saying how there's a woman, or there was a woman called Henrietta Lacks, and you can Google this name, Henrietta Lacks, and they have her cells in a lab in America. I can't remember which state it's in. Type it into Google, Henrietta Lacks cells, and you will see that the scientists in that lab have been taking the sample from these cells for 70 years because they've been reproducing indefinitely because they understand that human cells are immortal. And obviously the lab environment is very clean. So there's no toxins getting on the cells. So they're free to reproduce themselves endlessly and keep regenerating themselves. And if you clean your body, you will basically recreate those conditions and your cells will regenerate endlessly. And if you've seen any of my videos on TikTok about this, where I've showed what I used to look like, you will see that I'm aging backwards. 5 years ago, I looked older than I look now. And every year I look younger because I'm regenerating. I'm not degenerating. When you see a really old person who's 90 or 100 years old, they're all wrinkly and they have wrinkles, it's because of dehydration. Because cumulatively, they have dehydrated themselves over 100 years due to the foods they consume.
So what would you say? What is like your diet like? I'm just curious, like on like a daily basis.
Oh, at the moment, I'm just hydrating it. It's a
So
hydration thing.
so you're on just a water fast. So how long? How many days?
No, I don't recommend for most people that you should water fast, purely because water, like the water that most people get is H2O, which is dead, and you want to use H3O2, which is alive. If you have access to a real fresh spring with structured water in it, then great. But I don't know of any of those anywhere. Like all the water has been kind of polluted in those kinds of places, all the lakes and rivers. So the best water is either coconut water, raw, fresh from the coconut, or fruit water from the fruits. Watermelons, grapes, oranges, anything like that. That's watery fruit. That's H3O2. That's living water. That will hydrate you. That will get the gunk out. But it's not just about eating a watermelon for breakfast and then continuing to eat bread and meat and pasta and all this stuff. It's about an entire mindset shift. If you want to do this and if you want to heal yourself, you have to quit all of those drug foods. They're drugs, they're not foods. And while your body can get something out of them, if your body's creating mucus in response to something you're ingesting, then that's not good for you to ingest.
So you're saying you could try to do like a specific fruit like you're talking about, and your body could have a reaction to that. Is what you're saying? It's not the same for everyone.
No, I'm saying it is the same for everyone.
Okay.
I'm saying that I'm saying that anyone who does a serious cleaning protocol of their body will benefit. And the way to do it ultimately is the same for everyone. But what people would need to do to get started, that's where it varies. So if you have, it depends on what you're eating now. So if you're eating nothing but McDonald's and pizza and ice cream, then if you start eating nothing but fruit, that's no go. That's not going to work for you. You're going to be so uncomfortable, and your body's going to detox way too quickly that it would not be advisable. Ultimately, everybody would get to the same place where they can have nothing but the living electric water to flush, but it can take several months to transition that to that if your diet is not so good. So that's where it varies. Everybody has the same ultimate requirement for cleaning, but not everybody. Everybody has a different requirement for transitioning over to that ultimate way of doing it. So that's where it's no one size fits all. That's
So
where it needs to be. Yeah.
so and again, nothing in life is easy, right? What you're describing is extremely hard to do for most people who have lived a life full of, like you said, like drug food. Um, how long? I mean, so you're currently been on this diet since you started your journey, or I wouldn't even call it a diet,
No,
but a way of life.
no, dude. I have been. So basically, what happened when I first started, I I did a 96-day juice fast of fruit juices, and I flushed out my body. I was making fresh juices every day. I didn't have one bite of food for 96 days, and that kind of got me started on this. And then later in that year, I did a 35-day one and a 69-day one. So in that year, I did more than 6 months of it on juices. This is what I'm saying about the level of dehydration that, or the level of rehydration that is required. This is why, like you said, it's hard to do. This is why you don't hear people talking about this. This is why people say, "Oh, I tried eating nothing but fruit. I did it for a week and it wasn't good." That's not it. That you have to clean yourself to be able to even begin to see the benefits, and that's where like I said, the difference in what someone would need to do comes into it, because you need to transition over to it. But yeah, it was like it's not it's not the issue. If you can see the extent of the issue, if you look at most people, they have a belly, like their belly sticks out, even if they're not fat or overweight. It's because of old mucus and waste that's stuck in there from eating the wrong food. And the way to get it out is flush your body. But it's not just flush your body for like, oh, I did a 3-day juice fast. Like, no, like a 3-day juice fast, you've never done one before. Fantastic. Do that. Amazing. Like, you will probably need to start with 3 days just to see how it affects you. But don't do 3 days and then be like, oh, it didn't work for me. Like, it's like you want to get to the point where you're doing like 30, 60, 90 days. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. This is the kind of thing I'm saying. Like, you get to the point where you're doing like where you're eating nothing but watermelon for like 2 months or something like that kind of thing. That's
So
where you want to get to. When you
how
can do that, when you can eat 50 oranges for breakfast, that's how you know you're in a good cleaning position. That kind of thing.
sure, and I get that. I guess my question is more or less like when it's easy. It's not okay. So it's easy to say words, and I completely agree with what you're saying, but I think it's hard for people to wrap their minds around what it is you're describing. So if you could make a mental picture or like tell us mentally, you were obviously in a state where you were I don't is the right word ready for it, and if you were ready for it, was it still hard to do what you're describing right now? Like,
Let me say that I was at a point where I had to do it because if I didn't do it, my body was in such a condition that I had to do it. Basically, yeah, I didn't have, and I had tried to do it a few times before in the 6 months prior. Like my goal was always to do a 90-day juice fast since I found out I could heal myself and get all that waste out. And I could see immediately that this was going to do it. I was like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you fix your body. Like that opened my eyes. As soon as I saw it, I have really good discernment. Like if I see something, I can see what works and what doesn't and what's good. And I know something's going to work for me before I do it. And I saw this and I was immediately like, this is the thing. Like, this is it. Like, I remember watching a video about it and my mouth was like agape. I was like, I can't believe I found the thing. I found it. Like, this is the thing. And that
so
was when I started it and I was ready for it. And actually, there was no chance of me not doing it. I decided in that moment that I was doing 90 days and it, it just happened. That was the moment I stopped drinking. It was the moment I stopped taking drugs. And that was that. And I was very, very, that was all I did for 10 years was drink and do drugs. And then I found that and it was like easy, not easy because but simple. There was no chance of me not doing it. And if your soul is ready for something like that, it will work just like that for you as well. You won't have to question if you're going to make it or not. You won't have to really force yourself. And don't get me wrong, some days I really did have to kind of tell myself, like, no, you have to do the 90 days. But I knew in the beginning that it was done before I even started. I knew it. It was like, this is done. I just have to do it now. Like, this is already happening. There's nothing that can stop it. Like, I already had decided that it was done. And my soul basically took over the job. If you get yourself really messed up, your higher self can literally take over and do the work that the ego is unable to do, basically. And that's what happened. There was no chance of failure because the higher self was in control.
I like that. What so I guess throughout that process too, or even to this day, what are your dreams like?
Same as everybody else, I guess.
Okay, so no difference in like that in that aspect of your life.
Well, I'm better at like interpreting them. All dreams are messages from the higher mind. All dreams are prophetic, and all dreams are psychic messages. So, um, and sometimes dreams are just used by the higher self to release old emotions. So
Yeah.
you don't have to experience things in physical reality. So that's what if you have like a scary dream, it's actually releasing negative energy while you're in bed, and that's a good thing. So that's what dreams are. Dreams are real. They actually happen in a different frequency of being. There's a different frequency of being.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, we're already coming up on an hour, man. It's like it's just all this is going by so fast because it's fascinating conversation in my opinion. Um, I guess, yeah. I mean, I definitely like, man, like I got some work to do. You know, I'm not saying that I'm ready to do what it is that you've done or what you're even like the beginning stages of it. I feel like my soul is getting closely ready to that. You know, as I'm not getting any younger, obviously, and I want to be in the best shape of my life, but like you said, that's the best way that you could put it, whether or not your soul's ready for it or not. And I feel like it is, but I'm still struggling with some things. But um, I don't even know if we're gonna have time to get into loops, man, because that was like another
Into what?
into loops when you talked about loops, just like loops in life, like you know,
Oh, okay. Well, I can explain how that works. It's like your life is a series of loops.
yeah,
Like you'll notice how people, places, situations keep coming up in your life, and you're like, why? Like you might have had a friend, and then you don't have that friend anymore. And then a year later, you meet someone, and it's like the same person, but they're not. It's obviously not the same person, but they have the same mannerisms, and it's like the same energy and everything, and like you become friends with them in the same way, and it's like, huh? And that's because you're supposed to see something, you're supposed to learn something about that. Like, and that's how life works. It's like a series of locks. This is how I like to explain it. It's like a series of locks, and in every given situation, you have to find the right key for the lock. And this is like an open world game. And in this open world, there are keys everywhere, and you have to try keys in the lock. And then if you get the right key in the lock, you open it and you break the loop, and then you move into the next one. And then you might get it on the first go, and then you won't even realize the loop. But if you're looping the same situation over and over and over, which I have done in certain things in my life, then that's how you start seeing the pattern. And that's how you see that life is a series of puzzles. It's like a puzzle game. Every moment it's like figure out what to do next. There is always a thing to do. Like life is like some sort of big puzzle. And the ultimate prize at the end of it is eternal life in heaven. But you have to keep putting the right keys in the locks.
And so what you're saying, do you fancy the idea of reincarnation soul trap until you find all of the keys to the locks?
You can call it a soul trap if you want.
Okay, but not soul trap, but like reincarnation until you figure out all of the keys.
Basically, like every time you go to sleep, you reincarnate, like, and wake up the next day, right? Like there's a period when you're asleep where you're unconscious. So you can look at that like the same kind of thing. But I know what you're saying in terms of like a lifetime and an avatar and an ego and all of that. Like in terms of like the reincarnation, and like if you don't figure out immortality, then in this lifetime, then like what is the alternative? Like you get like I don't know if you ever play any video games, but I was thinking like life is kind of like a roguelike, and you get like a life, like I don't know, do you play any games like that?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, life's like a roguelike. So like you're in this avatar this time, and every time you come back, your soul like learns things. And that's like in roguelikes, you have like permanent upgrades. So next time you go out on a run, you get further in the run. And then you get like in run upgrades. So like that would be whatever your avatar gets upgraded. So like, oh, like I healed myself. I upgraded my avatar in the run. Like it's like a new suit of armor. Like I found like +4 armor in the chest. Like from upgrading my body.
Sure.
Like or healing my body. That's kind of how I see it. So, but this is the lifetime where it's going to be normal for people to experience immortality. This is the lifetime where it's going to be normal for there to be superpowered humans. This is the lifetime where it's going to be accepted that there are superpowered immortal humans, godlike men amongst us. And this is the lifetime where it happens. And the knowledge is available, the resources are available. If you eat food already and have access to a supermarket, you can do it too. Everybody has the availability for this. That's the beautiful thing. No one is excluded. All you need is the knowledge, and that would be one of the in-run upgrades. That would be like +4 scroll of immortality you found with all the knowledge of how to do it. You need to eat these foods and get your atlas in and use these medicines and realign your body in this way, and it takes this long and you have to focus in this. And that's what we're looking at here. It's like you do have to dedicate yourself as well.
No, for sure.
For sure.
And so, sorry, and I know you probably got some stuff you got to do, and we're wrapping it up. I could probably sit here and talk to you for like 2 more hours, man. But
yeah, so good.
So I know like what your end goal, and I don't know your end goal, but I know like from one of your pinned videos, like when we talk about Sir Bartholomew, and like if that's like your idea of what human beings used to look like and what you could look like, is that your goal is to look like that?
Well, I think in that statue, he's like, I don't know. My intuition's saying he's like 300 or 400 years old in that statue. There's just something. I don't know why, but 300 or 400 years old. That's just what my intuition says. I've learned not to doubt my intuition. He's like 300 or 400 years old. Like beyond even that, I don't know what humans look like. Like, and I don't know if they all look like that. Like he's got no hair in that picture, in that statue. So maybe everybody has no hair when they're 400 years old. Maybe hair is a feature of like an infant human who's under 200. Like maybe 200 is considered infancy. I've heard stories of people who are immortal, and these are only stories, but they resonate, that in the terms of an immortal life, you're considered a baby until you're 120.
No, I can get down on that. But
So
like, but like right now, is that like your physical goal?
my goal is to just keep going, and I'm not going to say I want to look like exactly that guy, because I don't want to look like anyone. I like
Sure.
originality. I just want to see what happens. But I know that when I look at that is perfect alignment, and the Most High has confirmed it as well.
So,
and that's beautiful.
No, it is, and I guess you see like crazy things all over the internet, and I'm not even saying that this is crazy, but I'm just saying you can see anything and everything, and I feel like I was starting to do some thinking before we were doing the podcast, or in the past few days, I was trying to think of like things that I could ask you and just pick your brain upon, and whenever you showed the statue of him, it almost reminds me of someone who takes workout to the extreme and they have like 0% body fat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they almost
he does have 0% body fat.
Yeah. And so have you seen those videos of people who, and they're not like jacked and like hugely like muscular like the Hulk, but they're like an average sized human, but with no body fat, and it's like all muscle. Like they can flex whatever they want, and they can move their body in contortion with however that it is that they want, and show you each and every fiber of what their being is. And
yeah, dude, they have range of motion that someone with. So let's just talk just in terms of like normal human. Most people who go to the gym and lift weights eat a lot of protein. They're like 140 grams chicken a day, 200 grams chicken, like they're like 150 grams of protein, bros. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which nothing wrong with that. You want to eat whatever. Just saying that's not good for you. The reason that a lot of people who go to the gym, and I'm not saying lifting weights is bad for you either. I'm not saying having a strong body is bad for you either. Those are good things. But that kind of protein consumption is not ideal. And the reason that the people you see, when you see like a big buff guy who's in the gym and his arms are kind of like, his shoulders are higher and they kind of like waddle a little bit, like with their arms out to their side, like people who do that. It's because they don't have full range of motion, because they've been bulking unnaturally, and their muscles are full of water because the body holds onto water in response to high acid consumption, which would be accumulated from eating that much protein in meat. So when someone is ultra lean, they have full range of motion because there's no acidity and in their muscles, which means there's no need for the body to hold on to water. So a lot of people who go to the gym, a lot of people who eat a lot of protein, if they don't go to the gym for like 3 or 4 days, they start losing, like in air quotes, their muscles after like 4 days. It's because they're losing the water weight. They lose, like the body is holding on to water. Like next time you see a really buff guy, or even type it into Google, like bodybuilder, look at the unnatural proportions of their body. Look at how they have to hold their arms up by their side. So having lower body fat is better. And when you look at that statue of St. Bartholomew, and you can type that into Google, St. Bartholomew in Milan, the statue, you can see he has 0% body fat, but you can also see that his body is probably like plate armor. He's probably bulletproof. Like his body is like rock hard. Like, and you can see all of the muscles have developed like very, very, very densely, but he is lean, and he would have way more strength than how he looks as well. He could probably lift a truck. He's probably bulletproof, and he could probably lift a truck. Well, like I have no physical proof for that, but I will say that strength isn't just about the size of your muscles. It's about the energy flowing through your body. And I've had certain experiences on psychedelics where I've gone to the gym while tripping because I thought it would be a funny idea. And I was lifting double the amount of weight I normally could, double that I normally could even fathom. And it felt dangerous. I was like, I shouldn't be able to lift this much weight. And it's because of the higher vibration allowing there to be more energy flow in my body. So when you have more energy in your body, which you get from clearing out the obstructions, then you'll be naturally stronger anyway. So he is probably so strong. He's way stronger than he looks in that statue. Way stronger.
Okay,
and
for sure. And
probably
I think I kind of would like to, and everyone has their own opinion. Everyone obviously is entitled to their own opinion, but obviously like that's one of your more popular videos. And I was started to read comments on there. And a lot of people said, and again, I've never looked this up, but I'm sure that's what Google, if you were to type in a Google search and the powers that be tell you that that he's wearing his skin around his body. And I guess
Right.
like my first question to that would be is just like, I don't know who would make a statue of like someone where they take their skin off and use it as a blanket, and then just show what the human body looks like muscular wise in those times, if it's 300 or 400 years old. I tend to lean more towards, and like you say, I like to like go with my intuition. When I first saw your video, and it was the first time I've ever seen you ever in my whole life, my intuition said, hey man, this guy's onto something. Doesn't mean that I'm right and my intuition's right, but that's just how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's soul level recognition. Your soul is like, your soul knows truth. You're looking at it. Your soul is like, this is the thing. This is it. Like with the immortality stuff. But I will say, if someone has just been skinned, they're not going to stand there and hold a book and pose for a statue.
Right.
That's my point on that.
Yeah.
He's stood regally. Look at his eyes and his posture and the aura that he is exuding. He is fully alive. And like, that's just a story. Bad guys don't make statues of good guys, even if they skin them. Like, that's not what happens. So that's a statue that was made in reverence to this guy, Saint Bartholomew, one of the saints. And the lie is that he was skinned. It's a lie.
No, I completely agree.
It's not true.
Well, I'm sorry, Immortal, but I'm there's so much that I would like to talk to you about. We are in a 12-hour time difference, so it is almost midnight for me, and I do have 3 kids and stuff like that, man. But I would love to chat with you again if you would like to at some point down the road. We can collaborate that. But I guess my last question to you would be, man, and again, thanks for joining the podcast. You were delightful to talk to.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. Do you meditate?
I just notice things, bro. Like meditation. So the reason that people meditate is, sorry, I know I don't answer straight answers, but
that's fine.
Like you're just like yes or no. But like the reason that you would meditate is to put you in a state where you're more mindful and you're more aware and you notice things. That's the point of meditation. Meditation is training to notice, basically. So you learn to quiet your mind and train to notice. But when you're really perceptive anyway, you don't need to do that. And like I do sit still a lot, which you could call meditation. But my life is a meditation. Like I'm always getting nudges from from the guidance that I get to stay present. Like even those words that just come out of my mouth, because like even the creator will talk to you through your own mouth. That's what's cool. Like this, like, but the point is that like that was me being told by the creator through my mouth to stay present. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but I always am in a state of presence anyway, or 90% of my day. I don't want to say always because there's always improvements to be made, but I don't sit with my eyes closed often and meditate. And maybe I would benefit greatly from that, but I've never really explored that. I've always kind of found that boring. Everything I've learned in life, I've always learned through following my highest excitement and doing the thing that I think is going to be most fun. Like that's always kind of where I've been at. I just find the concept of meditation it's like boring. Maybe when I'm a bit further along the track and a bit more like I don't know, like a bit more calm or something. I don't know. Like for me, it's just not really it. You can turn your life into a meditation and then you don't need to sit and do it.
No, I like that. I mean, and I never looked at it that way. I've had some interesting experiences through meditation, like laying down on my bed in complete darkness, in 2 different aspects. One being with guided meditation with just a YouTuber that I found that I liked. And it was like experiencing the 7 chakras. And, I've never done that before, where this gentleman, I had headphones on, and as he's guiding me into this meditation, and it could have just been my mind making me feel the things that he said, but like I literally felt all 7 chakras in my body. And then, I tried to test myself and say, hey, I don't want to go through a guided meditation. I kind of want to just try this on my own. And, I've had some profound experiences, ones that I can't really describe like via conversation or with words, just what I felt in the moment in time. I've had really good experiences with meditation. And weirdly enough, I know that, you said your dreams haven't changed, and that makes sense. But like recently I've had some weird, like awake dreams, like where I'm sleeping and I awake and there's a word for it, and I just have a dream. But I have had good experiences, but I like the way that you describe meditation. That's awesome.
Yeah, like that's cool, dude. And like I said, it's like I bet I would have some wacky experiences too if I did it. I just don't like my mind is really fast, so it's like to sit down and meditate. Like I don't know if you see my videos about the 5D stuff that I've made, but like or like how fast the 5D vibration is. But you can train yourself to like, or you can realize your inherent ability to meditate while moving at 100 miles an hour. Like that's really because I've got like a what they would call an ADHD brain, which is not. It's just a fast mind, and so to sit and meditate for me, it's like yeah, like I said, like boring, but like I said, it's
Hard to
I
do.
guess it's something I'll explore further along,
Well,
and yeah, it's just hard to want to. I don't know.
I will tell you this, man. My mind never stops. It's constantly always going. I don't know if that's like ADH brain. You know, it might be like
Yeah,
a different, like a slower version. I mean, you know what I'm saying? My mind just never stops. It's
yeah,
constantly going, 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 going. So when I do sit down and meditate, it is a chance just to relax. Because I think, you know, when I found alcohol, that was like my escape from my brain that never stops, if that makes sense.
yeah. Well,
Which
like
is
the
not,
reason that your mind would never stop is because of like like disconnection from the breath. If you're breathing properly, then you have control over that, and the constant thoughts become something that you can dictate rather than them dictating you.
okay. I'm definitely interested in that. Maybe we could shoot for that on the next podcast.
Sure, dude. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's a cool thing to talk about.
Okay. Well, man, I appreciate you. I'll shoot you a message. You know, I'm free. I usually record on these days. If you ever want to do it again, I'm not pressuring you via live.
Yeah,
Well,
cool, man. Yeah, just let me know. I'm up for it.
okay. Where can people
Yeah.
find you, man? I know you're on TikTok, but are you on YouTube or any other avenues that people can find you?
I used to have a YouTube channel. Well, I do have a YouTube channel, but like I started making TikToks and then kind of stopped using the YouTube. But I do have one. It's called TrueImmortal, but I haven't uploaded there for a while. So if you want to see some like older stuff, like I mean, like from a few years ago, and see you can see the difference in like how the healing journey has gone. If you go and watch my first YouTube video, and then look at the TikToks I make now, you can see the difference. And but yeah, TikTok, TrueImmortal 777. That's the best place to get me. You can find me there.
So what's before I let you go, man? What's the 777? What does that stand for?
Just as felt significant at the time of making it.
Okay, just where I mean, there's a gentleman I follow. His name's Crow 777, and he's a very interesting guy. I didn't know if there was a correlation. Maybe it's just the universe talking to me, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it always is, bro. Everything that happens is a communication. There's no coincidences. Everything is intentional. Everything. There's no such thing as random. It doesn't exist. It's that's an illusion. Everything has been intentionally placed. Everything is intentionally happening. And if you're getting synchronicities like that, that's intentional too.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you, brother, and cheers to you. And I hope that all goes well for your day today. And thanks for joining.
Yeah, cool, dude. Thanks a lot. I'll speak to you soon.
Alrighty, cheers.
Thanks, man.
Bye.